Hi guys, PJ here. Today we're going to be fitting a dash cam, that's a dashboard camera, to a Nissan Qashqa. We're going to be hardwiring this to the fuse box so that the camera goes on and off with the ignition, and obviously so that the cable doesn't drape down across the window screen. Now I'll try and keep this video as short as possible, otherwise it's a pain to skip through them every 2 minutes looking for the right bit. I'm going to be using a wiring kit. You can get these off eBay or most car electronics stores. In fact, you can probably also get them off Amazon. All it is a replacement power cable for the camera, which has a hardwire connector on the end, and something called a fuse spur comes in the pack. This is a fuse spur. There you go. And all it basically does is it doubles up a fuse socket in your fuse box. Okay, so eventually this will end up with 2 fuses in it. It's got the one that you can see in there already, which runs the camera, and the gap at the side of it there will be the fuse that you pull out of your fuse box and plug into this. The other end of it, got a bullet connector on, look, and that quite literally plugs into the red wire on your wiring kit that comes with this box of goodies. So once you've got all these pieces, this is how to proceed. First thing you're going to do is going to want to start to tuck your cable up under the headlining. Now I'm going to sit the camera on the left here and then tuck the cable under here to stop it falling down, because obviously if it's a big pothole it might do. The cable itself, just simply do the following. Pop a couple of zip ties or cable ties around the cable, as such. So measure it up from the end so that the cable ties are going to sit basically in the middle of the window area here where the cable could potentially drop. Once you've put them on, snip them as close as you can to the end. This is just something I personally do. Like I say, it's to stop the cable from falling down. Then get yourself some electrical tape, roll of electrical tape there, and wrap a bit round it. It's just to cover the sharp edges basically. After you've done that, just tuck it up. I'll show you now. Underneath the headlining, so put your centre lug that you've made, there's the two others covered in tape. With your centre one, just tuck it under the headlining so that it's hanging, and it won't fall down. Now come down to the end that's got the connector on it, and you'll notice in your pack that you bought, you've got one of these. And basically it's a little filter, it stops interference with DAB aerials, or tries to stop interference, and all that does is crimp on with a wire wrapped around it, like so. So you want it to look like that when it's finished. Wire run through it, curled around it, and out the other side, and that's your filter on and fitted. You can now go ahead, tuck the rest of your little lugs underneath your headlining all the way along so that your little cable dangles out here with your power connector on it. Once you've got to that stage, go ahead, tuck the other side under all the way along, and you're going to come to the trim on the side. Now most of these cars have got airbags in the edge here, so be a bit careful. You have got sensors and stuff there. You do not want to set off an airbag warning light, because you'll have to go to a garage and get it reset again. So basically, open your car door and pull the rubber trim away. It can be tough, there we go, like so. And just peel that away like so to make a little gap. And what you're going to do is pop your little cable under there like so, and then shove everything up and feed it down. The next thing you're going to do is need to remove the end panel off the dashboard. Now for that I use something called a bojo tool. It's basically like a plastic leverage tool, a scraper. Again, you can get these from eBay or most car accessory shops. Do not use a metal pry tool, you will damage the edge of the dashboard. It is only plastic, bear that in mind. And also just to note, when you are running your cable down the edge here, make sure you've got clean hands. This is normally a light colour on these Qashqais. You don't want to get dirt all over it, because it doesn't come off again once you do. So get your tool, your pry tool, get your door open. I mean, I've already popped this one a little bit because I'm doing all this one-handed, but basically you just lever it open and there you go, off it comes. There's your cable that you've run. You now want to tuck your cable so it goes behind. Okay, now for your earth cable, your black wire that comes with this kit, there with a ring terminal on the end, there's a handy little bolt on these cars just under here, under your petrol release flap thing up. Take the bolt out of there, and basically attach it to your earth ring. So in other words, like so, put that through there, look, and then reattach it. So put the bolt back in, and then you can drop the cable down behind the little kick panel next to the pedals. It keeps it out of the way and it's neat and tidy. It's a good little earth place, save you taking anything apart too much, so we can hide that behind this panel once we're done. We're then going to go up to the fuse box here and figure out which fuse is ignition switched. And so on this particular model of Qashqa, now it will depend on year and which version you've got, we're going to be using the top left hand fuse. This one goes on and off with the ignition as tested by our multimeter. So what you will be doing is testing the fuse with the ignition off, and you're looking for 0 voltage when you touch the pin on the top of it like so. You want it to read 0. With the ignition on, you're going to be reading 12 point something or other, showing that there's voltage there. If you haven't got a multimeter, you could probably use one of those little screwdrivers that lights up with a bulb in it. Just tap it and see if it lights up. If it lights up all the time with the ignition off, that's no good. It means your camera will stay on all the time. So like I say, this particular car, we're using this fuse, but your Qashqa may vary depending on model, spec and year. So please test them and ascertain what the fuse is originally doing. You're looking for an accessory fuse ideally, and that's the particular one we're using. So with that, we're going to pull that fuse out and fit our little fuse spur. So I've pulled the fuse out of the socket, plugged it into our fuse spur, and we're now going to go ahead and plug our fuse spur into the socket. There we go, all plugged in where the original fuse came from. It's on a bullet connector, it comes with it, plug that in. I'm going to electrical tape all that up so it's covered, and also cable tie all your cabling up. You don't want it wrapping around your feet while you're trying to press your pedals, yeah? Once you've done that, you can tuck it out of the way and cable tie it up to stuff behind the fuse box so it's neat and tidy. And there we are, everything all neatly tucked behind the kick well there. Put your little cap back on at the back there to secure it. You can then move up to the camera area and reassemble your car. Pop your side panel back on, which is quite literally just a case of slotting it in and clicking it shut, like so. Job done. Move on to your camera. So most cameras come with, well, most of the higher end cameras, if you like, come with two mounts. Okay, you get a sticky back mount and a suction cup mount. Now, if your vehicle has a raised black area like this one has, you can feel it, it's got a texture to it. Some vehicles it's smooth. If it's the textured one, you could use really the sticky back one, because the suction mounts don't stick to it very well at all, and what you'll find is it keeps falling off every now and again. These are fine for normal glass and also fine for the smooth black area, which feels as smooth as glass, okay? But if you've got the textured one, you want to swap your mount over. Very simple to do, just undo the knurled knob and then pull the ball socket out and swap over to this one. So quickly here, halfway through, we've unplugged this one. Get the knurled nut off this one, slide it over the ball socket there, shove it in, click it together and then screw the thing up. Just worth mentioning, it's any plastic threaded. I've seen loads of people cross thread these and completely strip them out, which obviously renders it completely useless and you've got to buy a new one. Just take care, you know, line it up, make a straight line out of it before you screw it together. Otherwise if you cross thread it, it's crackered and you need to buy a new one. Right, you can now go ahead and stick the adhesive 3M pad up onto the window at the top there, which we'll go ahead now and do. So your camera will look like this when it's on. Stuck up, plugged in, yeah, little loop there for your cable. Now, your camera needs to see both front corners of the bonnet where the headlights are, so angle it as such. And what you're hoping for when you put your ignition on, like so, is that your camera switches on, like that, of which it does. If that's the case, you've done everything correctly, and give yourself a pat on the back. Basically, if you're following this guide and you're finding it too difficult, seek professional advice. Bottom line is, if you damage your car and you've got to pay for it. If you hurt yourself, you've hurt yourself. If you take it to a professional and they damage your car, it's insured and they will, obviously pay to get it repaired. By that, I'm held no way liable or responsible for any actions, damage or injury incurred by you following this video guide. Thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.